where she's living as part of her bail conditions. It's a sunny Monday morning, and she's broadcasting from a sparsely decorated living room. She's hung her kingdom's flag in the window and set up a camera to live stream to her followers.
And it seems we have a very special treat, so I'm gonna mute the rest of us.
Romana backs up from the camera and starts to dance. Her internet connection is unstable, so the music doesn't come through consistently, but I can tell she's dancing to her personal cover of Rasputin by Boney M. Two other women join in, dancing with her, and her royal puppies Comet and Princess bounce around her, barking. The Ridgemount School is condemned and sits empty. Romana's followers are now scattered with no home base. Her online following is dwindling, far from the peak of 78,000. They're now down to a couple thousand in the Telegram channel. But still, her remaining followers continue to tune in and donate. In the final days of reporting for this series, I get a message on Telegram. Someone calling themselves Queen Romana asks if I'm interested in getting access to a med bed. I'm confident this isn't really Romana, but it makes me think. In the kingdom she's built, where the truth is subjective and misinformation is the norm, she has primed her followers to be taken advantage of. And there are countless other scammers behind her, waiting to take the throne.
Thank you to Her Royal Majesty, Queen Romana Didelot I, for that very special treat, and dancing to Rasputin.
But in spite of everything, on this bright Monday in Regina, Romana gets to keep on dancing. Episode of The Cult Queen of Canada. You can find the full series wherever you get your podcasts. And that's our program for today. Stay tuned to Radio 1 for Q. I'm Lindsay Duncombe, sitting in for Matt Galloway this week. Thank you for listening to The Current.
This is CBC Radio 1, 88.1 FM and 690 AM in Vancouver. A British spy has one with an ejector seat.
Ejector seat, you're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
A VW bug transforms into a hero.
You must protect Earth.
And then there's Steve McQueen.
You work your side of the street, and I'll work mine.
Cars are the stars. Automobile brands in Hollywood on Under the Influence with Terry O'Reilly. Tomorrow morning at 11:30, 3:30 p.m. in Newfoundland. And on the CBC Listen app. The CBC News is next, followed by Q.
Laura Marling is known for writing introspective and deeply personal songs, but her latest album is a surprise. It's an entire record of covers featuring the music of one of Canada's most beloved children's entertainers, Raffi. She'll be here to tell you about it.
This is CBC News from Vancouver. Good morning, I'm Drew Karakis. Prime Minister Mark Carney has congratulated Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer on their negotiations so far. Last night, U.S. President Trump announced he's holding off for 3 days on imposing threatened 50% tariffs on $28 billion worth of Canadian goods. Following a meeting this morning, LeBlanc LeBlanc says the issue of supply management is critical to trade discussions.
The Prime Minister was very clear. We needed to protect supply management. We needed to ensure that the supply management regime remained entirely intact, and I'm confident that that's the case.
At the same time, U.S. President Trump asserted there is a new trade deal.
So subject to the finalization of documents, we have a deal with Canada, and I think it's a very good deal for both parties.
If an agreement isn't finalized, the Trump administration tariffs would come into effect late Friday evening, Pacific time. Maple Ridge RCMP say a 56-year-old man is in critical condition in hospital after a shooting last night. He was sitting in a vehicle on 236th Street near 114A Avenue when someone came up and fired a number of shots. Investigators are still trying to determine a motive for the shooting. They'd like to speak to any witnesses or anyone with dash cam video from the area around the time of the attack. The top legal agency within the Israeli military is opening criminal investigations into 2 alleged war crimes in Gaza, including one that saw the death of a young girl. But human rights groups question whether the investigations will be impartial and unbiased. Blake Sifton has more.
The criminal cases being opened include the killing of 6-year-old Hind Rajab in Gaza City in January 2024 and 15 Palestinian rescue workers in Rafah in March 2025. Rajab survived an Israeli attack on her family's vehicle that killed her relatives. She spent hours on the phone pleading for help from paramedics. Her body was found days later. In the Rafah case, a convoy of Palestinian emergency vehicles was ambushed by Israeli soldiers who later covered the bodies of the dead rescue workers with sand and crushed their vehicles. Both incidents drew global condemnation. Rights groups say Israeli military investigations into killings of Palestinians rarely lead to convictions. Meanwhile, they closed several investigations, including the killing of 7 aid workers and strikes on vehicles belonging to the World Central Kitchen Group in central Gaza in April 2024. Blake Sifton for CBC News, Tel Aviv.
OpenAI says it has created a new chatbot specifically meant for teens. But as Bisma Mughal reports, there are still questions about whether it goes far enough to address safety concerns.
OpenAI says it's launching a new version of ChatGPT for teens to shield them from material they shouldn't be exposed to. This comes as BC looks to take legal action against the company over its alleged role in the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting. Vered Schwartz, one of the AI chairs with the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research, says she's a bit skeptical about the new model.
Companies like OpenAI want their customers to use the chatbots as much as possible. I would take with a grain of salt any plans to prevent emotional reliance.
Alan McCord, a professor of computer science at UBC, says companies shouldn't be acting alone. He is calling for strict government regulations.
This is just up to the company to do this voluntarily. I mean, that should not be the case. We have to have much stronger penalties.
OpenAI says parents with LinkedIn accounts can receive notifications in limited, high-risk situations. But you have to opt in to use parental controls. Bisma Mughal, CBC News, Vancouver.
And China's space agency says for the first time it has successfully landed the first stage of a rocket. It was launched this morning and touched down afterwards on land. SpaceX and Blue Origin have been recovering rockets for more than a decade. It's a way to reduce costs by reusing hardware that would otherwise be discarded. That's the CBC News from Vancouver. We'll have more news on CBC Radio 1 in half an hour. I'm Drew Karakis. Turning to the weather now for Metro Vancouver and the South Coast. Environment Canada says we'll have a mix of sun and cloud today. Temperatures between 22 and 27 inland. Tonight, mainly clear with a low down to 15. Tomorrow, back to sunshine and temperatures between 23 and 28 away from the water. Sunny again Friday, and then a chance of showers and cooler for Saturday and Sunday. Right now in Nanaimo, it's 20 degrees and mainly cloudy. 19 and partly cloudy in Vancouver.
Bailey, and for Tom Power, welcome to Q. Laura Marling is the kind of songwriter that lives to connect. She's won a Brit Award and been nominated for a bunch more, including a Grammy. It's a record Laura wrote to her imagined child a few years before she even had a child. And if you don't know anything about Laura Marling, she got her start writing songs about breakups, about relationships, just intimate, personal songs about love and family, identity, and the people we become. This was all before she wrote Song for Our Daughter. Then, after becoming a mother, she returned with another record, Patterns in Repeat. On that one, she talks about the experience of raising a child and the way family stories get passed down. Again, deeply personal stories. And all of this is important context because now Laura Marling has released an album that's a bit of a surprise. Although when you think about it, maybe, just maybe, it makes sense in the story of her career. Take a listen. Beloved Canadian entertainer Raffi. Laura's new record is called Laura Sings Raffi. It's an entire album covering the music of one of Canada's most beloved children's musicians. She joined me to talk all about it, but first, Laura Marling grew up in England where Raffi isn't as well known. So I asked her how this project got its start. Hi, Laura.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. You might not know this, but Raffi is kind of a huge deal here in Canada.
Like I can imagine.
A very big deal. How did you first discover Raffi, and what was it about his music that you like, yeah, that's the thing I want to cover?
Well, I moved to California when I was 23, and I had some friends around that time who were having children, and they were playing Raffi to their children. And I'm very sorry to say, I'm ashamed to say, in fact, Raffi is not so well known in England.
What?
And it wasn't just the music. Obviously the music is brilliant. The way it's recorded, the way it's delivered and was delivered to children was just, there's nothing like it. There's still nothing like it. No one's tried to emulate it still. But it was also what everyone had to say about Raffi and the feeling of him as a person and an artist that they had. I just really strongly remember how attached everyone felt to Raffi as a persona, and then passing it on to their next generation. And so, yeah, it became very important in my household when I had children. Raffi's music.
So thinking about that part of it becoming important in your household, do you think that Raffi understands children in a way that maybe others don't? Like, do you know what that intangible thing is? It makes him just so huge, not in England, but everywhere.
Yeah, I think he has, I think I can say that I share with him a disinterest in like endless commercialization. And, you know, I think he delivers to children in a very unpatronizing way. It's very not sinking down to a kind of ludicrous level. It's meeting them, expecting them to be met at a level at which they aren't patronized. It's their world and they're welcome there. And that is hard to find. You know, there isn't much children's music that does that.
That's right. There's a sophistication to it that you don't expect to find in children's music. You've described Laura Sings Raffi as a logical next step in your career. And looking back at your past few albums, what is connecting all of these chapters? What is that through line?
Well, there's an obvious one. Obviously, I've become a parent.
Yes, of course.
And I'm now a parent to 2 children. And I mean, one very sort of practical through line is that I quick reflection on it all and like, what am I going to do differently tomorrow? What worked today? Sitting down with Rafi's music, there's so much beauty in it, like very gentle beauty. It reminds you that they're little, that they're learning all of these things for the first time.
Yeah. Let's hear a little bit more from the album. This is your cover of Six Little Ducks. I mean, you sound like you were having so much fun there. What did you discover about yourself as an artist by making room for that kind of levity and goofiness? It's a path that you haven't had the chance to go down before.
No, I've been welcomed into the goofy era of my life. It's interesting because, I've had feedback from friends of mine who also have kids the same age and what songs they like, and they all love that sort of mouth trumpet vibe.
I mean, you came to the mouth trumpet quite, I mean, I don't know if you've been practicing it all year, but you're very skilled at it.
I knew I had it in me because I was a very good whistler. In my arsenal of mouth instruments, I knew that it was in me. But yeah, I've been thinking about doing some shows, and that has presented me quite starkly with the realization that I'm going to have to give, as they say, as the young say, children's entertainer, which is a persona I have not explored in full, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it might be in me.
Were your kids involved at all in this song selection or in the recording of this album? Because I picture you recording this and your kids as your audience right there. It's such a great performance. It really is.
Yeah, that would be a nice image to have. It wasn't quite that way. Ever since my daughter was born, every time I pick up the guitar, she goes, no.
Oh, no.
No. So, there's obviously been some connection made there, that the guitar means something that must be taken away quickly.
Right.
But one song, because I was pregnant with my son when I recorded these, so he wasn't with us yet. There was one song that she particularly loved and kept singing along to, which was Going on a Picnic, and she ended up duetting with me on it.
Oh, she did it. That's lovely.
I say duetting, but it did take, I'd say, 60 takes of just trying to capture her, like running after her around the house while she was singing it, and compositing a take together. So we did get it eventually. Yeah.
The girl laughing. Is that okay? Can we do that? I'm Garvey Bailey. You're listening to Q, and you're in the middle of my conversation with the English singer-songwriter Laura Marling. Laura was just 17 when she released her debut album back in 2008, a record that was raw, it was full of angst and vulnerability. Today, Laura is nearly 2 decades older, and she's a mom. And her latest album takes her somewhere a little different. It's a collection of covers of the beloved Canadian children's entertainer, Rafi. Their songs built around repetition and silliness and a different kind of vulnerability. This is all new territory for the singer-songwriter. She's moved away from what she's done for almost 3 decades as an artist, writing adult songs with adult themes. Creatively, she says she's in a great place. It's a vastly different place, but it's all part of what she calls her transformation. She's got a lot to say about that, but this part of our conversation starts with a little surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great joy. I mean, obviously, and I've been writing some children's music and doing also some French children's music, which Canada might love.
I think we probably will love it, yes.
The French language has some extraordinarily weird children's songs that I look forward to bringing to life. So yeah, it's all been, there's nothing else I really want to be doing at this time of my life. It's great.
We actually reached out to Rafi.
Did you?
We did, and he sent us a little voice note about the album. If you're okay, we'd love to play that for you.
Love that.
Okay.
Hi Laura, it's Rafi. I'm so tickled that you made an album of my songs. Imagine that. My fans in the UK will be delighted. I'm delighted to know I have fans in the UK. My goodness. Hey, thanks for your lovely voice bringing a sweet energy to this music. Thank you.
What do you think of that?
I couldn't dream of a more perfect sounding voice note. That's so lovely. I'm so glad he's given it his blessing.
Yeah. You said that before becoming a mother, you worried about having children. That, having children might take something away from your creative life. But instead, you've described it as being somewhat transformative. What changed in the way you see your work and your own voice as an artist in becoming a mom?
It's a lot, actually. It's been transformative in many ways. I mean, when I had my daughter, I was very surprised that I had the impulse to write music, which I didn't. I had fully planned on setting that aside for years and hoping for the best, hoping that I didn't run out of money or whatever. And then when she was a little baby, really tiny baby, I realized, we were bouncing them in a bouncer, and it's just you and a baby. I was experiencing this absolute rush of new experience, new understanding of my album kind of goes into patterns of time and how you don't get these realizations until this happens. And I have started finding that writing music I feel it's less and less my calling now, which has been an interesting thing to sort of come to terms with. It's happened slowly over time. When you have two children, your time gets much more limited, as everyone will know, and probably everyone who, when I had my first daughter, I was like, it's amazing you can play guitar, probably knew, so that came my way. But the intensity of the revelations that happen to you as you get further into parenthood don't stop and they don't slow down. And just fortuitously, as I was pregnant with my second one, I started writing on Substack, and that has become, for now, a much more satisfying practice for me. And so I've quite literally transformed from songwriting to writing more generally, and finding that and I think that's probably just a product of what I can fit into my lifestyle at the moment. And it's been great. It's challenged me in different ways, and the output's very different. I didn't expect to be writing about what I'm writing about, but I'm enjoying it.
It sounds like that creative spark hasn't really gone anywhere. It's just been redistributed.
Definitely, yeah.
Your 2020 album, Song for Our Daughter, is such an interesting part of this story because you wrote it before becoming a parent, I understand. You were imagining a relationship you hadn't experienced yet. So I wonder about when you sing those songs now, do you hear them differently? Do they feel any different?
It was an extraordinary premonition. Not that extraordinary, I guess, a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
I knew it probably going to have one or the other. But I wasn't then planning to have children, or I hadn't thought about having children when I wrote the album. But I do, it becomes that much more intense when it's a reality. And you're like, actually, you are raising a human who does seem conscious from the moment that they come out. They have a personality, and as the time goes by, like, oh my gosh, it is that personality that they started with, kind of. So you are nurturing a person who is an individual, and you will have to manage their individuality against your own, against that of their partner and their place in the world. And so it feels intense in a good way. And of course that, you know, I should say that album was inspired by Maya Angelou's book, Letters to My Daughter, which she wrote to an imaginary daughter, which I just thought was a great concept and I found very valuable as a reader. So I wanted to do something similar. And I obviously hadn't anticipated being quite so literal in my life, but there it is. There it is.
You were still a teenager when you released your debut record, and through your music, we followed these different eras of you. You know, there's the heartbreak, there's a song about an imagined future, and now motherhood. So I'm wondering what it feels like to have those different versions of yourself preserved and so accessible to all of us through your songs. It is a window into you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think as a younger person, I would have contested that, you know, with like, it's like, it's not me, I'm a mystical, you know, I paint a mystical picture of it, you know, and that is in some ways youth protecting itself. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, I would totally concur that it is these chapters of my life, and it's a and maybe in a more universal sense, it represents the chapters of becoming, you know, for want of a less kind of zeitgeisty, new agey word, but it's a constant. My songwriting practice is a constant process of untying the knots of life that I'm in at the moment. And maybe actually now I'd say my writing process, songwriting or writing, is that. And so, you know, I've been very lucky to have that outlet. And I used to, I'd say more, before I had children, obviously, I had more time, reflect back. And before I made an album, I would listen to the other albums and sort of check into where I got to. I haven't done that, you know, in at least 5 years. And maybe that would be an interesting thing to do, you know, when I'm 40.
A bit later, you have time. We've been talking about your album, Laura Sings Raffi, and you've hinted there could be more children's music ahead. I can't wait for the shot. I connected with Ruth Horkin's daughter, Mary Engel, for the story behind the shot. Hello.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to sit down and be able to talk to you about this photo that's been in kind of my consciousness for as long as I could remember being conscious of images. It's ended up in so many places over the years. Can you tell me where else you know of this photo, other than my house, where else you've seen this photo out in the wild?
Yeah, I mean, people have a lot of stories. I mean, I've certainly seen it in galleries, and people talk about seeing it in Italian restaurants and pizza stores, and a lot of people have memories of, they say, oh, my roommate in college had it, up in our dorm.
I read that it was at one point up in Grand Central Station.
Yeah, in the very beginning, it was a big, huge mural. It's the biggest one I think they've ever made.
Incredible. Before we get into why the photo became so popular and is so empowering, I want to establish what a pioneer your mom has been for women in photography. There were not a lot of women in photography, in photojournalism in the 40s. Can you give me an example of the kind of work that she was doing back then?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. She moved to New York in 1943 from LA, and she started shooting. She worked at a local job in a nightclub and did baby pictures, but very quickly she started getting assignments from the major magazines like Life, Look, Horizon, Ladies' Home Journal, Coronet. But she was also known for doing a lot on her own. So she would go and do something that she liked to shoot, and then she would sell it for a picture story. She was never on staff anywhere. So one thing is I own 100% of all of the negatives, which is important.
That's incredible. Like she had this, obviously, for a woman in the 1940s. There was something bold about what she was doing. It's kind of cool, that boldness. Was she like a bold kind of mom?
Yeah, absolutely. I could say absolutely all the time, but yes. I mean, her boldness and her confidence started, if we go back to when she was 17 and she wanted to see the New York World's Fair, and ended up taking this crazy bike trip mostly from Chicago to New York, over 2,000 miles. I mean, personality-wise, she was, really a confident person. She was very personable. Sometimes we'd be walking in the park and she'd see somebody interesting and say, could I take your picture? Or she would seize the moment. She didn't let things escape her. A great example in terms of her work was when she was a musician and played guitar, piano, and cello, and she wanted to shoot the musicians up at Tanglewood, and they told her not to come, and she went anyway, and ended up with extensive photos of Bernstein, and she brought her cello so she could pretend she was a music student.
She was crafty as well.
Crafty, yes, crafty. Yeah, I mean, she definitely, there was a man named Cornell Kappa who started ICP, International Center of Photographer here in New York, and he said, Ruth, you can't say you're knocking on doors, you're knocking down doors, and, she once broke into 20th Century Fox, and they let her on the lot, and she had an assignment to shoot Marlon Brando, and then she heard that Montgomery Clift and Hitchcock were shooting a film called I Confess, so she went over and did that. It was always one thing led to something else, and she would always take advantage of opportunities.
So this brings me to an American girl in Italy. Your mother was traveling Europe alone with a camera in the late 1940s and early 50s, which was pretty unusual for a young woman at that time. So can you just tell me what brought her to Italy? Give me that story.
Yeah, so she had never been to Europe. She was 29 and she got a job to shoot the Israeli Philharmonic. And she went on a press junket for life, and she went over to Israel, and she ended up staying there for a couple of months. Really, she was Jewish and found sort of part of a little Jewish identity there, but she was never religiously Jewish ever her whole life. But anyway, she started traveling through, she flew to Rome, she traveled through Italy, and then ended up in Florence, and ended up also going to Switzerland and London, and was in Europe for at least about 6 months, and that's the only time she was ever there.
And it turns out that that's the time when this photo is snapped. The subject of the photo is actually Canadian.
She was American, but she lived in Canada.
But she lived in Canada. Love that. She's an art student, spent time in Toronto. How did your mom meet this woman that people called Jinx Allen, which is a cool name?
Jinx is her nickname. Yeah,
Love
Jinx,
it.
It's a great, she loved it too. I only called her Jinx. I never called her Nina Lee. They were in the same hotel in Florence, and my mother had already now been in Europe a couple months and was trying to make money to stay there. And there was something for a newspaper where if you made a stopper or you made a certain type of photo, maybe they would pay you, $25. So she just met her and said, let's go out and do what's happened to us as women alone, after the war. It was 1951. And let's recreate what happened. So there's a whole series of photos of them having trouble with the money, of the woman, of Jinx flirting, of being in the car, through beads. And when she was walking on this one street, which is right by the Piazza di Repubblica, on the cafe of the corner of Cafe Gili, that's still there, there's a variation of the photo that we're showing for the first time. This one photo happened, and then my mother said, go back and do it again. And she told the man on the motorcycle to tell the men not to look at the camera. And voila, the iconic photo and photo history happened. So
I'm wondering about that frame that you're going to be showing, the one that was snapped in that same series of that same time. What that frame reveals about that whole situation, about what was happening, what you hope that it advances in the conversation around the original photo that we see.
Yeah, I mean, it just helps explain it. I'm looking at it right now. I'm going to look at my box set here, but it shows, the thing that's really important too is to make sure that people understand that it was not a negative thing for either of them. They were having a very productive time in their lives. She was holding the shawl and she was enjoying the admiration from the men. And even though her face, people say, oh, she looks like she was in terrible, agony or something. She wasn't at all. She liked being admired, so she just, you just see she moved slightly a couple steps away, my mother did, and crouched and got the second photo. And the men didn't do anything differently. They were there and they were looking at what they wanted to look at, which was her. So.
Right. Jinx, the face is so beautiful. Like whoever looks at it sees something different, which I think is the power of a great photograph. Because when I see her face, I've heard other people say she looks terrified. I think she looks very self-possessed and very beautiful. I feel like, oh, this is a beautiful woman, just very much in her beauty, like just okay with everything that's happening. Is that how Jinx saw it? I know that you had a relationship with her.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I agree with you completely that, she was in the moment. She was not feeling, harassed or and in any kind of danger at all. And I try to remind people that it was a different time and it's a different culture, the other thing what I don't do is I try not to let people editorialize it. I want the viewer to look at it and feel whatever they want to feel. And I'm not going to deny that some people look at it directly as a form of sexual harassment, but I really never allow it to be used to illustrate that. And believe me, I've gotten tons of requests over the years. So the point is to just let it stand on its own, and it symbolizes her strength, it symbolizes fashion, it symbolizes the interaction with men and women, and an Italian corner that still exists there today. So the 75 years is amazing that it's still has resonance all these years later.
I don't know if we were clear enough in how these women decided to go out into Italy and take these photos together. So they meet, and then they decide, we're going to go out, we're just going to shoot some film. now. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, it was a very short time. I mean, we're reading my mother's diaries. We're working on a film treatment about it. There's been a lot of interest in all different things, and the whole shoot happened within 2 days at most. But I think it was bold, and it was unusual for American women to be alone traveling, which resulted in maybe I'm going to click on what you may say, is it resulted in this article in Cosmopolitan, the
Nitai Gore. 您好啊，朋友。
Hello, friend. I'm so happy to see you again, 'cause I've been down and alone, and I'm grateful you've come here to take me home. I've been wandering around with no direction, no. You reached out, took me in, gave me love, you gave me life. You're a real friend. Hello, friend. I'm so happy to see you again, 'cause I've been down and alone, and I'm grateful you've come here to take me home.
고빈다. 时光。
What if I ever had the time hasn't dripped away? There's been times when I thought I'd really loved, but with time it just faded away. Time passes, nothing stays the same. Oh, time steals life away. When I was a little younger, I remember I used to say I like things the way they are now, but they never ever stay the same. Life here is just a mirage. I can't hold on to a thing, 'cause it slips right through my fingers, and only heartache it does bring. Oh, time rips everything away. Time passes, nothing stays the same. And the end of another precious day. My body, it's getting older, and my hair, it's turning gray. Some just a reminder, I'll be leaving here one day. The waves of time are rolling on and on and on and on and on. I can't hold them back. Lord, it feels like there's something wrong. Whatever I am now, tomorrow will be gone. Though I feel I could live forever, when this birth, death will surely come. Oh, time rips everything away. Time passes, nothing stays the same. Oh, time steals life away. Time passes, nothing stays the same.
朋友们。
But I'd like to be friends with you. I'd like to be friends with them. I'd like to open my heart to everyone and let the shine in. I'd like to be friends with you. I'd like to be friends with them. I'd like to open my heart to everyone and let the warmth of love shine in. I'd like to be friends with you. I'd like to be friends with them. I'd like to open my heart to everyone and let the warmth of love shine in. I'd like to be friends with you. I'd like to be friends with them. I'd like to open my heart to everyone and let the warmth of love shine in. I'd like to be friends.
朝阳。
The morning sun gently rising, the day's begun. Her gentle rays, they warm of night has given way to morning light. I feel my life has just begun. For you're the sun in my life. You help to ease the pain of living with the dark and empty heart. You're my love, can't live without you. You're like the sun, your golden smile, it warms my heart. I feel that if you ever leave, my life would end. The dark of night would close back in, and all my hopes, all my dreams will be over. Oh God, Lord, my life would end like the setting of the sun.
Madonna Mohana Murari.
Madonna Mohana Murari Haribo Madonna Mohana Murari Haribo.
走遍天涯路。
Walking through the world with no one to call my own. Time passes me by, and I can't hold on to anything. And I know in time I'll be moving on. I know the time is coming. I'll be moving on. I know the time is coming. I can't stay here long. I'll be moving on. I know that time is coming. Walking through the world, I don't know why I left my home behind. Walking through the world, I don't know why I left my home behind. Walking through the world, I don't know why I left my home behind. Walking through the world, I don't know why I left my home behind. Walking through the world, I don't know why I left my home behind. Walking through the world, I don't know why I left my home behind. Walking through the world, I don't know why I left my home behind.
Madana Mohana Murari.
Madana Mohana Murari Haribo Madana Mohana Murari Madana Mohana Murari Haribo Madana Mohana Murari Mohana
走遍天涯路。
Walking through the world with no one to call my own. Time passes me by, and I can't hold on to anything. And I know in time I'll be moving on.
I know the time is coming.
I'll be moving on.
I know the time is coming.
I can't stay here long. I'll be moving on.
I know the time is coming.
Walking through the world. I don't know why I left my home behind.